Hey, everybody. This is Dominic D'Angelo, WrestleZone.com, and I am with me here today. It is my degenerate brother, Marcus. And
I am with me here today.
And you got me off my fucking game now. It is two Dynamite Dudes with Attitude. Yes, me, Dominic, and my degenerate brother, Marcus. Marcus, how was your Thanksgiving? Did you have a good one?
Dom, it was lovely. I stuffed myself. I saw a great picture of chubby Triple H, and they said when you're leaving the Thanksgiving table, and then it was a picture of him looking shredded, and then it's like after you finish going to the bathroom. So that made me laugh. But yeah, it's obviously it was great to get along or get out there and hang out with family responsibly while wearing masks. And
while you're eating, how'd you manage that?
It was funny. I actually at one point I was in a dining room by myself eating Thanksgiving dinner. And my wife's mom came in and took a picture of me. I was like, I don't know if you want that. That's like the most depressing picture maybe ever taken.
It's like 2020, like Tempest altogether.
Yeah, but it was good Thanksgiving, Dom. Under the circumstances, we persevere. What about yourself?
Oh, it was fine. Hung out with family as well. Wore the mask as much as I could and took the precautions. But it's them times, baby. It's them times. Hard times, but not that hard. People in previous generations had. Like hundreds of years ago, 100 years ago, had it much worse than we did. So
hey, there's people right now having it much worse than we do. All of us, any of us, there's still people out there struggling, and so be thankful for what you have, even if you have to struggle through wearing a mask around everybody for Thanksgiving. Yes. Suck it up.
Yes,
we're almost out of this thing.
Marcus, who in AEW are you thankful for?
It's getting hard to choose anymore, Dom. So I don't even know if you can technically count her, but Thunder Rosa, Dom, she's honestly, she might be my favorite wrestler on the planet right now.
Yeah, she's great. She's great. We sing her praises all the time, but I think she deserves it,
Can't say enough good about her.
But
she's
like, even technically now, we can't really say like AEW. Like, she's not, they didn't make an announcement. She's not signed yet. She should be signed. But like, even technically now, we can't really, go with that.
Yeah.
You're thankful for her appearances so far.
Yes. Yeah. I'm thankful that I get to see her on national TV as often as I do now.
Yes.
But I really like her, and I think you'll be surprised to hear, Dom, that I was very surprised by a guy who I wasn't expecting to be surprised by this week. We'll discuss it in a minute.
Okay.
But the other guy who I was really
I gotta say who I'm thankful for here, Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Son of a bitch, jeez. Taz, very thankful for Taz. All around, Swiss Army knife of personality, and just week in and week out, he's engaging. Somebody said that he could win the award for like non-wrestler award, like the Observer non-wrestler award of the year, because he's just great on commentary, great on the mic. Great as a manager, all that stuff. It's just like very valuable part to the show.
And we got to see a Taz mission for the first time in quite a while.
Yes. And we'll talk about
You might be surprised on what I have to say about that segment, by the way.
Yeah. Because I added a couple things in the notes that I was curious about. But I figure, hold on. Now, do you want to start with that thought you were going to give, or do you want me to give us the main news item, the main takeaway thing? Are you going to remember?
Well, we'll get to all of it. So let's just jump right in.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So always how we kind of do it here is what's the biggest. I try to think what the biggest takeaway is of this week, and obviously with Winter Is Coming next week, which we'll go over a little bit too in this show. I figured the build to the world title match should be the number one story. So Moxley and Kenny Omega. Mark, pretty just basic. How do you think that build went throughout the whole program? And then we can pick apart the details a little bit.
Well, I guess if we're gonna talk about Moxley and Omega, we'll start with Omega with his stand-up promo there.
Yes.
Near the beginning. I thought that was one of the better presentations for him as the incumbent heel here.
Mm-hmm.
Where he was coming off as jealous about like Jon Moxley's ranking, which I thought was good, and he was just coming off as like kind of like this smarmy, mouthy, like pain in the ass heel that you would like to see get kind of popped in the face, you know. I did take note of that. I thought it was very interesting that saying that my dad would beat your dad up is like what a weird place we're in pro wrestling in 2020. Like, could you ever picture Harley Race saying that to his opponent? There's just no way.
You know what? That's an interesting way to look at it, because I took it as like, what a good heel line though, because like, Mox brings up his dad in the promo of last week in a really unique and special way kind of thing, and for him to kind of like throw that in there at the end, like, hey, congratulations on the pregnancy and everything, but like, yeah, I think my dad can kick the shit out of your dad. Like, you certainly cannot imagine Harley Race going to that. But like,
didn't we have a Harley Race rule? Isn't that something we talked about? Where
Stan Hansen rule.
Stan Hansen rule. That's it. So like, if Stan Hansen wouldn't do it, you probably shouldn't do it.
Probably shouldn't do it.
Then again, though, I did love Chris Jericho's crybaby thing in WCW. I know Stan Hansen wouldn't do that.
Stan Hansen would also not do that.
There can be exceptions to the rule.
There very much is exceptions. You know what? I didn't like kind of look at it in that light, so I liked it overall. Like, it's just like, man, that's a real prickish thing to say, you asshole, Kenny. Like, what the fuck?
I feel like it just, picture it like you're getting into an argument with somebody at work or whatever, and it's getting heated, and you're at the point where you're like, this might actually come to blows. And the guy all of a sudden is like, my dad would beat your dad up. That's like part of his argument. It would just take me right out. Like, I'd just start laughing because it's such a ridiculous thing to say to somebody.
It is ridiculous.
So like, I think that's a problem. Is like, you've got Jon Moxley, badass. That's his character. He's a badass. He knows he's a badass. He's not afraid to fight anybody, any place. On the other end, you've got Kenny Omega, who's like the supposed best in the world at what he does. And so like that kind of stupid thing coming up where it's just like something you'd say to somebody in middle school, which, by the way, I think all of us probably did have that argument in middle school.
No, not middle school. I had it like second grade. I clearly remember this confrontation between me and another kid in class saying, yeah, my dad could kick the shit out of your dad.
Yeah, well,
so second grade.
I think most boys have that argument.
Yes.
And so now it's two grown men that you're supposed to be taking seriously having the argument. So I didn't hate it, but it does kind of take me out of it.
Well, how would you have felt if he was like, you know what, John, congratulations on the announcement. That's great, but you know what? Not only would I be a better champion than you, I'd be a better father than you. I just know it. How would you like that one? Better.
Or what else is better is, Kenny Omega saying something like, hey, your dad, he sounds like a great role model, great guy, sounds like a tough guy. But just so you know, not only would I beat the shit out of you, I'd also beat the shit out of your dad.
Oh, man, that's good. That's good.
Right? Because now you're taking it to a
because I know, John, I know you would be a horrible father.
There you go. Exactly. So, I mean, there were so many different ways to play it, and it's like, hey, you've got a guy wide open down the field 60 yards. There's a guy wide open 40 yards. I'm just going to dump it off 10 yards. That's kind of what it felt like. It's positive yardage, but like, could have been way better.
It could have been, yeah. No, it's a good way of analogy there. Okay, well, how about the two kind of follow-ups? The one being the one where Mox walks in on Kingston's promo, and then Moxley attacking Kenny ultimately, and then cutting his own promo.
Yeah, the moment between him and Kingston I thought was cool. Just and that was in that moment it was mostly Kingston kind of like not begging off, but just saying like, hey man, it wasn't me,
Yeah, we got our own shit to worry about now.
Yeah. So, and by the way, that helps to establish realism a little bit too. Because like, you know, these two would still be seeing each other around backstage. They would still kind of have like angry vibes to each other. And John Moxley realistically would be like, I just beat this guy. He's got all of his buddies. I bet it was him who jumped me.
Yeah.
Which by the way, you know, I don't know how somebody could beat the shit out of you and you would be like, I didn't even see him. I have no idea who that was. But that's beside the point.
Could happen, Marcus. That's a ongoing thread in wrestling storytelling for eons at this point in time.
I guess, but like in order for somebody to like injure your leg, it's like they have to step away from you far enough for them to get at your leg, right?
Marcus, his leg wasn't hurt. He was neck.
I thought he was selling his leg. I don't even remember. All right, well maybe he got hit from behind. Then I'll suspend my disbelief. But so final segment, Dom, Mox stole it, and I gotta dig out my notes because I did want to say some specific stuff about it.
Go for it. Yeah. I thought it was great. So go ahead.
Oh, no question about it. Yeah, but here's what I wrote. Mox is next level with his promos. Some segments of the show have been irredeemable, which we'll get to soon.
Oh boy.
But guys like Moxley, Kingston, FTR most of the time, and FTR and most of the time Cody pull me right back in. So, you know, just when I was actually getting to a point with this show where I was just like, I'm getting really annoyed by what's happening on this. But then a promo like what Moxley gave, he seriously yanked me right back in it.
Yeah, dude. He's it's special. Like we say, pretty much. Every week it's like Mox is able to take a unique turn on a promo and deliver some cadence and his own spin to everything that it makes it stand out and really makes you like him a lot as a top babyface and like the representative of the company in a way, like the outlaw representative of the company, like not your company man or stooge or anything like that. No, really good. I'm pumped for next week in that regards to that match. You know, it's a great main event. Do you think they did enough build, or are you more of the camp of your analogy earlier with the 40 and 60 yard pass options, but you go 10 yards? So okay, say 60 yards. The 60-yard pass is your ultimate throw. What yardage did they accrue overall at building this for next week? Winter is coming.
I mean, for whatever reason, and maybe it's just because I'm now a big mark for Eddie Kingston, I was kind of anticipating that match a little bit more. But solid 40, 50 yards worth of anticipation here. You know, I think we all see what's going to happen based on context clues, and that's that Kenny Omega is going to go over. But that being said, you know, it's exciting, and I'm excited to see how they figure it out.
Yeah, I'm curious too, because they pretty much took, I think, Archer off the table as the guy that attacked Mox.
Well, why is Archer a babyface now?
Well, that's something we can get to here in a second, but that's up in the air. Like I thought so at the end of the show, but I'm just curious, because I ultimately thought, it has to be Archer, you know, because they talked about him, you know, meddling in the business and all that stuff post Kingston match with Mox. So I was like, it's got to be Archer, but it doesn't seem like that. People are really thinking that it's going to be a tie into New Japan because of Kenny, you know, saying he's got to take a flight the other week, and then you know, he left AEW Dynamite that show. You know, Mox has ties to New Japan, obviously, winning their United States and still being their champ, but like it's being like interim covered, I think, at the moment. So there's some intriguing stuff there that we might get a reveal, and that might set something up next week at Winter Is Coming too, of who Mox might be butting heads with, so to speak, coming up.
Yeah, you know, I'm anticipating seeing what they do, hoping they don't blow it. I guess we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think part of this week's Dynamite, maybe you were going to touch on some of this, is kind of a little bit of a smodgy finishes here and there, like that we don't typically get with Dynamite. Interferences kind of have been a little bit, or distractions have been a little bit more of a card that they've been playing a little bit. And, they've been ultimately overall, they've been pretty good with not doing that. So what are your, was that something you kind of made note of this week, or was it too big of an issue for you, or not one at all?
For me, it's not that big of an issue as far as like schmaz finishes or having run-ins. I understand why they do it on live TV. As long as they don't do it, as long as they don't do it too much, it's fine. I will say that I'm trying to find. So one match that I felt was very disorganized, and I was a little bit surprised by it, was Top Flight.
And TH2.
Yes, that's right, TH2. So like it was very, I told you before that like the match with Top Flight and the Bucks, it was like not my cup of tea ordinarily, but they worked really, really well together. It was a very fluid match. You couldn't pick out the choreography as well. In this case, you could very, very clearly see the choreography, which to me was a little bit frustrating. I will say though, this is the first time that I've really taken strong notice of Jack Evans.
Yeah.
And I think that he would be better served as a singles competitor. Could you imagine a good feud between him and what's his name, Evan Bourne or whatever he's called now?
Matt Sydal.
Like that would be that. I feel like that would be a fun feud to watch. Those two, in a series of matches for a cruiserweight title.
Again, I don't think you need a cruiserweight title. I think Evans, is unique. It was cool. I remember I think it was like Lucha Underground they were in. Like both him and Angelico were both there. And Jack Evans would just be like ripping cigs and stuff like that. I just thought it was a kind of a unique aspect of him to include.
Tobacco use. Is that the first time that we've seen that tag team win on TV? I think it might be.
Yeah, I think it might be because they who did they fight that they had a really good didn't they fight FTR? Did they fight FTR?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, okay. So, and that was a really good match. I like those guys. I like TH2. I think Angelico is unique too, and just kind of like how he handles himself from a body language standpoint and presence. I would like to see them get a little bit more mixed up, and like Evans is very unique in his own way, like kind of an erratic unique with promos. So I think that can be utilized. And heck, somebody I would love to see him feud with too, and that would be another guy you can mix up in this kind of cool balance of your newer stars, is like mix him up with Darby Allin, have him mixed up with like Ricky Starks, and eventually like a babyface Sammy Guevara and stuff like that. Get him in that mix of competitors that go back again. Yeah, I don't think you need a cruiserweight title. I think it can be more for TNT and that kind of level of things to build people and just cultivate some engaging grudges and alliances and whatever it may be. So
one of the things I find interesting about Jack Evans, I wasn't able to put my finger on it at first, but then as I was watching this match, it kind of sank in for me. He reminds me of that kid who's maybe doesn't in high school, maybe doesn't come from the best background, maybe isn't like the biggest kid around, but he you look at him and you're like, I think that kid knows how to fight. He's got that kind of a look to him. And by the way, I did a little research on him, and I come to find that he's been in a few backstage altercations with guys like Juventud Guerrera when he was in Mexico, and Samoa Joe. I think he and Samoa Joe had like a physical altercation backstage at some point. So it's he's not the biggest guy around, but it seems like he's not scared of shit. So
and why not play that? Yeah, play that up.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that at all. So
absolutely. So that kind of thing, I think, again, could work to his benefit. Angelico, I heard a little bit about his backstory. He had been tweeting about it a little bit. The struggles that he went through in order to get to the point that he's at now, and I respect that. I respect the hell out of it. I don't see a lot in him, unfortunately. Maybe it's just my flavor. of wrestler, but to me, I just don't see it with him. So I'd really like to see Jack Evans go out on his own, and maybe it would be the best thing for Angelico too. Let them go on their own. Let's create a cruiserweight damn division, and let's let these guys show their thing.
Before we jump the gun here, though, I kind of think, they're obviously building a feud with the Young Bucks at this point in time. So I think you can really cultivate at least, at this point in time, maybe have them have a really good tag run against these guys, like feud for a couple months or so, and get something going with these and like establish something strong for both of those guys before. Yeah. Cause I think to an extent, there's so many tag teams out there in AEW, so many good ones too. You don't want all of them to get lost in the shuffle. And TH2's been one that's been lost in the shuffle in a lot of ways. Like we see them here and there, but we don't see them regularly. So it's like,
and when have they won a significant match in AEW?
Yeah.
So it seems like the Young Bucks are just like, okay, who do we feud with next? Oh, we could have good matches with those guys. Let's just throw them in there. So it's not as though they're like the number one contenders for the tag team titles, are they?
No, and I think that's a problem too. And this was an evident problem I think in this week's show was like the sudden week to week kind of like week long builds of feuds. Like, oh, hey, this guy, this person, or this team attacked this team, so they're having a match next week. And yep. There's no build, there's no build or no teases to that build where they're like, okay, we can see kind of a feud budding here. It's just like, boom, out of nowhere, throw it at the wall. Let's run with it for the week. That's what they're doing. It's like, it's happened with the TH2 here. It's happened with several things, I think. Lance Archer, in a way, like him just coming out of nowhere and stuff like that. It's just like these sudden, Abaddon, who we'll get to. Yep. Just like stuff like that is just like sudden, where it's just like, give me something to like invest in a little bit besides just the week to week build. And then you don't want, like, if you're having those matches or building that feud to then you peel the Band-Aid off and they're gone for another extended time. It doesn't make it's not good overall to do that,
Here's the other issue that I think is kind of like a low key sort of a thing, but the Bucks are again coming off kind of in a very heelish way.
What way? In this what? Like these past couple of weeks, I haven't really, like this week and the week before that I didn't.
I said, it's a little bit low key. But if you think about it logically, the Young Bucks are saying, hey, so this independent team that emailed or that messaged us over Instagram, they came in and we're going to bring these kids in. We're going to give them a shot at the tag team titles. It's like, all right, so if we're going by a kayfabe standpoint, they pay attention to the rankings in AEW. So the Young Bucks, who are executive vice presidents, are saying, hey, we know that you other tag teams that are already here, we know that you guys have been striving for a shot at these titles, but we're actually going to bring in these young kids and kick the crap out of them on TV. That just sounds better for us. Like, that's a heel thing to do, is it not? Like,
but you could also look at it too as like, oh, it's kind of a babyface thing to do because they're giving these kids, these nobodies, an opportunity. It's just like that kind of.
Let me say, if I was a babyface tag team in AEW and this is a shoot, I'd be like, why did I get skipped in line? I've been working my ass off here for months just trying to get one title shot, and these jabronis from off the street just get one because the Young Bucks liked what they put on Instagram.
Yeah. No, it's a fair point, but I wouldn't like it didn't like cross my mind as like, oh, that's a heelish thing to do. Like
logically it is though.
Yeah, it's true. But like, let's look at it this way too. AEW, with the rankings have been really jankered. Like, it's just, it hasn't been, they haven't adhered to it. And, if you're going to have a ranking system, you kind of want to like stick with it. You can't just like, kind of go with that route because I'd like to playing to your point that you're making right now.
I'd like to know what Lance Archer's ranking is on Dynamite or on pay-per-view. I'm sure he's done plenty on AEW Dark. I don't watch it. But how about on live national television or pay-per-view? I'd like to see what his record is. I don't think it's good. They keep.
Oh, do you mean on Dynamite? His Dynamite record specifically?
Dynamite or pay-per-view. I think
okay.
got a shit record.
Yeah, it's good. From how they've done it. I mean, I guess that's a benefit to Dark is building guys' record. Tony Khan mentioned that, I think, on the Wade Keller interview, that it gave a lot of guys like Ricky Starks, I think like Will Hobbs, he might have said, and somebody else, the like a bigger foundation of like building a record like that they have, that they can like, hey, this is my record in AEW and stuff like that. So to that matter, yeah, like that's a good way to do it. But like the other aspect of it is like AEW Dark's your YouTube show, and Dynamite is your TNT program at prime time, so your people, and this also plays to being the elite too. People, there's a certain section, like a niche sect. What's that? Niche? Is it niche? Niche section of the viewing audience that tunes into that stuff. Not everybody does, evidently. Like, so it's like they're only getting part of the story in a lot of ways. And I think AEW, I think this was Wade Keller who brought this up on his own podcast too, is that so those people, like, I think a lot of us are also, not you as much, but me and wrestling media and wrestling personalities get really wrapped up in social media, and like, because that's how the business, like, in a lot of ways is going. So it's like we invest. There's a lot of stuff that gets invested from that standpoint, like where they don't look outside of the picture at people that don't go on Twitter, that don't go on Instagram, or don't have any of that stuff, but they still watch wrestling. They still love wrestling and things like that. They don't think about that stuff. So some of this stuff does not translate over to those people that you want to engage in. So I think it might be a moment for like, Tony Khan or whoever to kind of take a step back from what we're used to being on media and social media, and like kind of being that like a big part of our aspect in the job or career, and look at it from like, this is who I want to get everybody involved in this, not just people that are like really, really in tune to the product and stuff like that, or give them incentive to tune into those other products, because I don't know, one or the other, but it's just like you got to really make that happen in a lot of ways, and because otherwise it's like they're missing part of the story. Like, I'm missing part of the story sometimes because I'm like, I don't catch all of being the elite, or when I can catch Dark, I do, but when I can't. So it's just like, I don't get everything, and you don't watch it, so it's just like other stuff.
Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating to watch a lot of this stuff take place. It's frustrating to see directionless things happening on TV. Lance Archer is a very good example of that. This guy's been backstage beating up what appears to be a bunch of 5'5" guys in locker rooms, and like putting them in trash cans and stuff. His catchphrase is "everybody dies," which is incredibly heelish. And by the way, a stupid catchphrase.
I like it. I always liked it.
I think it's really dumb. We're talking about pro wrestling here. Nobody has to fucking die. So let's settle down. But then he comes out and he's a baby face now, and we're all just supposed to be like, oh yeah, okay, he's a good guy. Let's go with that guy. No, it feels directionless, and it feels like that decision was made at 2 p.m. that day.
I don't know. Him coming out like that can give that thing. I think, obviously the whole story's not played out, but give the viewing audience something to be like, okay, this is making sense for this reason. I mean, it does make sense to the reason that him and Eddie Kingston have butted heads before, but other than that, it's like, okay, he's helping. Is he a babyface? Like, what's going on here? And like, it seems to be like we need a little bit more extra strands to the story, so to speak, at this point, I think. But carrying on, I'm sure we're going to get more of an answer with that, but it's just like, it was a weird kind of, I liked it because I like Lance Archer. So, I mean, like, and I do think, him kind of pivoting or getting a certain kind of change, whether that's a babyface turn or maybe building to another feud is beneficial and good. So I think I liked it from that aspect of it. So, but yeah, the execution of it, just I think all the short-term stuff just needs a little work. It, like we talked, I think it's a big flaw in AEW's programming week to week is this short-term, decision making. Let's see. So what I was going to go to next was Cody, Taz, and Powerhouse Hobbs. That whole thing. Let's start off with Hobbs. What'd you think of the name change a little bit, and then his new look, and then just the squash match he had?
I like it. And squash matches are important in pro wrestling. We don't see enough of those today. And that's where this kind of thing does become a problem. Like, so you've got Eddie Kingston now about to feud with Lance Archer, it appears, at least maybe.
I don't think.
Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe just a short-term feud or like a quick, I don't know, a one-match deal. But then you leave yourself in a position of, okay, who goes over there? It's Lance Archer, who you're trying to push as this monster heel. But then on the other side, you've got Eddie Kingston, who's like incredible on the mic, starting to really gather steam. So who goes over under the circumstances? And that's why job guys are important. And I think that you need to have job guys doing the job for these guys, making them look strong to build toward this larger thing that you're building toward. And so I thought it's cool. I love his Mike Tyson towel thing, where that's what Mike Tyson used to wear to the ring. He looks like $1 million. He looks like a badass. And yeah, squash matches, always a good idea in my opinion. Enhancement matches, always a good idea. I
thought he fit the role awesome. Like, I thought it was like the look, like the nod to Taz with the color scheme, and even the singlet kind of thing. I thought it was really well done. It just was like Hobbs' own unique spin to it. And Powerhouse Hobbs, I think, is a awesome new name. Like, I think it really fits well. It plays back to that attitude of having like a unique name, like Bad News Brown or somebody like that, where it's it's part of their name, but it's not the whole thing, like Jake the Snake, like that kind of thing.
I agree completely. It's kind of a throwback of a name. Special Delivery Jones-esque. No, it's not that bad. But no, I think it was absolutely the right choice. And yeah, it's, you want to build this guy. He's obviously got the right look, and he's got the right build. So you want to build this guy to be a monster heel, and that was a good first step.
Yeah. And so speaking of the steps, we saw Taz step into the ring here after the match and cut a promo about like everybody disrespecting the FTW title and how he wants some sort of respect for it, whether it's to be recognized or something else. And he wasn't going to leave until it does. And then they peel back the curtain a little bit. Now comes Cody, and he basically says, "Hey, I'll run it up the flagpole to everybody." And then Taz takes some digs WWE style about like, creative has nothing for you, or thank you for your
future endeavors,
that kind of thing, which I appreciate that stuff. But then Cody's like, all right, Taz. Cody brings up Taz's son, saying that he's training with Cody and not Taz. What does that say? And then Taz gets off the mic, quote unquote, and talks some shit to him about that. And then they leave. He is about to leave, and Cody's like, has his back turned. He locks him in the Taz mission, and Cody's gonna pass out. He's gonna pass out from the Taz mission from a guy we haven't seen grapple up in quite some time, so it was refreshing to see Taz do that. But then the Gun Club saves him, and the Nightmare Family comes out, and just sets it up for some intriguing storytelling going on. Marcus, what do you think of that, with being us Team Taz advocates? But like, what do you think of like the curtain getting pulled back a little bit, and just all the other aspects, like Taz's son being involved and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good here, and I think there was also a lot of more of that confusing AEW bullshit. So, like, there was the good, and that's Taz on the mic, always good, always entertaining. Confrontation between Taz and Cody, like it, good idea, especially if Cody's gonna have a long-term feud with members of Team Taz. Absolutely, they should have a face-to-face in-ring thing. Taz mission getting locked on, love it, awesome. Cody selling the Taz mission as well as he did, I think that's great. But then we start to get into like little nitpicky things. So like, how about Tony Khan shutting off the mic for Taz? Came off as a very like cowardly heel thing to do to me, where it's just like, to me, that's just like, that should have been Tony Khan coming out and saying like, yeah, trying to settle him down or something first, not just like behind the scene killing the mic. Like to me, it's like
Marcus,
the ultimate.
You don't want another owner like getting involved in the mix of it. I like, if you're gonna do something.
That's what we had done anyways, because then now we've got, it's not wrestler Cody that came out which it should have been. It was corporate Cody that came out.
Is there another aspect that you kind of did not like about this segment before I give my point?
Yeah. So here's the other problem is, like I said, I wanted to see wrestler Cody come out and confront Taz. Cody coming out and speaking about how he's going to take down these guys. I didn't want to see corporate Cody. And by the way, saying that you're going to run something up the flagpole to like upper management, that's like that's a heel thing to say is like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'll run it up the flag. Like very dismissive. Like, oh, we'll figure it out. So like, again, very heelish. And then he went even further heel, and he's just like, don't want to get personal or anything, but here's me getting very personal, talking about your son, saying like, he doesn't want to train with you. He wants to train with me. So what does that say about you? Like, holy shit. Like, that is very heelish. Like when Taz turns around and puts him in the Taz mission, I'm like, yep, I'd probably do it. If somebody said like something to me about my son, you know? So like, I've just miscues, Dominic, directionless miscues. And you're right. Maybe Tony Khan coming out and being part of the show is not a good idea.
No.
But you're shouting him out on TV. So like you're involving Tony Khan in the show. The money man behind the curtains is involved in the show already. So like, if you're going to do that, then there's more elegant ways to go about it, and they didn't.
So, not again. I don't think. I mean, a lot people will say that having management, like, we know Cody Rhodes is executive vice president. Do all wrestling fans know that? I don't think so. I would say.
Well, they do now.
They do now. Yeah. But it kind of, from my perspective, and not like a casual fan's perspective, I thought it didn't shake the foundation too much of like, what we want from Cody or anything like that, I don't think, or what we want even from the storyline. I thought it kind of gelled together in a good way. I do definitely see your point of like Cody being heelish, like bringing up Taz's family and different things like that. Taz though, and Team Taz have built the reputation of being heels up until this point. So I think, obviously you could do it in a different way where it's just like, yeah, wrestler Cody coming out and be like, all right, hey, you guys, like, you blindsided me last week, everything like that. That's why I'm out here. You guys don't fuck around with me like that. Management might be just cutting off your mic, but I'll cut you out of the ring, like that kind of thing. I could definitely buy more into that. And that, I will say, yeah, is good. But yeah, like with him coming out and peeling back the curtain and then taking digs about his son, I'm willing to wait on how his son's stuff develops, because at the end of that segment too, who did Taz walk out with but his son with the FTW title? So I think maybe that already sparks some stuff. Be like, all right, you're not training with Cody anymore. I'm teaching you the ropes, that kind of thing like that. And like, so maybe that'll break that away a little bit. And then we'll, Hook is a great name too, by the way. Like,
especially for Taz's kid.
So that's a great name. But yeah, I'm certainly with you. Like, I don't think it ultimately damages the story of Cody being management and like, talking. But like, yeah, there's definitely a better way. I think it plays to your point again. It's not a 60-yard pass. It's not a 40-yard pass. It's like a 4-yard dump off that you're gonna.
This one was like a 2-yard screen that just went out of bounds.
Yeah, like I wouldn't go that far. I thought like both guys did a very good job, like, you know, doing stuff. So I think they at least got like 15 yards, but they could have got 60. So yeah. Any other thoughts before we go on with that?
Yeah, no, I thought it was bad, and it took a segment that could have been cool. It had all the elements to be really cool, and kind of ruined it for me. So it was disappointing. Here's the other thing, man, is I know that the Bucks are VPs. I know that Kenny's a VP. I know that Cody and Brandy, they're like, we get it. This is like a corporation, and they are pretty far up on the food chain. But like, I think all of us naturally, as working men and women who are watching this, we don't. It makes those people harder to
relate to.
Exactly, relate to and stand by.
Yes.
So like when Cody comes out and he's saying, I'm gonna run something up the flagpole, like there's a big piece of me, even though I really like him, I'm like, Taz, punch him in the face. Like that's what everybody wants to do to their boss when he's dismissive of their ideas and he says, I'll run it up the flagpole. It's like, fuck you, dude. Like everybody wishes they could like haul off and punch him in the face, so this is
it speaks to the Stone Cold, like why Stone Cold was so engaged.
If this is the Stone Cold Vince McMahon situation, Cody was very much Vince McMahon just now. So like to me that's a problem. Like you didn't see Dusty Rhodes bringing it up all the time that he was a booker when he was on WWE.
No, you definitely didn't do that.
There's a good reason for it.
Again, I think it really plays into the aspect that wrestling in general is so involved with social media that they think everybody's in on it. They think everybody's aware of what's going on. And even if we are, it doesn't mean that we want to know all the ins and outs. Like, who cares? Like, we don't care about management. We don't. Like, viewers, we want to see two guys, two women, good versus evil, kick this shit out of one another. And
right.
The agony of the defeat and the thrill of victory. That's what we want to see. So it's
nobody knew that Ric Flair was a booker. Nobody knew that Kevin Nash was a booker. I mean, and maybe we did. All you had to do is read the dirt sheets. But who cares? They didn't bring it up all the time. They didn't like leverage it on TV. I think they're making big mistakes here. Another thing I wanted to bring up, by the way, is we're talking about them being directionless. Like, what is Matt Hardy's gimmick at this point?
Okay, I think at least he's got something where it's gonna, like, as long as it gets committed and stuck to. Like, Hardy's been snake bitten since coming into to AEW, like, and it's not. Yeah, I don't think a whole lot of it's his fault in certain regards, because pandemic hits. The Matt Hardy broken gimmick was something that really played to the crowd and needed a crowd there, and he didn't have that. And so, like, him coming in and then like him getting hurt like that during that Sammy Guevara match, and like really it just like off-putting and things like that, and then like them wanting to close out that storyline with the Elite Deletion match that just did not click for me. Hardy's had a bumpy road in AEW, so like if they're gonna go with this, it's gonna be tough, I think, to find a way to position Hardy to make him a factor in what we want to do, like what's engaging on television, because his like kind of like condescending, like what would Matt Hardy do, is akin to like another wrestler almost, like in AEW. Who is it? I was just thinking about this. I was like, this is very much like kind of what this person's doing right now, and I don't know. Kind of Kenny Omega, So kind of Kenny Omega. This is kind of what Kenny Omega is doing right now. So I don't know. I think they have a direction at least. So, and I think what we're going to get is something. This will be a little bit more steady than what we've been seeing from Matt. I think finally,
I'm hoping so.
Me too. And you know what? I think what plays to Matt is Matt being himself now. So it's like, whether that's heelish Matt or like babyface Matt, like be yourself and not like a persona or like alternate personalities and something. Just kind of be yourself and find a rhythm to it,
Matt Hardy was doing, like, in WWE and elsewhere, like, he was doing some very funny stuff with the broken Matt Hardy thing, like the mower of lawn and all
Yeah,
that. All that
dilapidated boat.
right, exactly. So, like, there's equity in that character, in that wild-haired maniac character, equity in him, and they had an opportunity to continue that. And by the way, they were doing it during the pandemic with, like, him hitting Sammy with the golf cart, which was like a pretty iconic moment, So, like, there's still ways to do it, and they dropped it, and I think it was a mistake. I
Oh,
wish that they had.
wait, you think they should have stuck with it even up to this point now?
Yeah, I'd like to see him continue to be like the broken, and you treat it the same way that you treat Orange Cassidy, where, like, yes, you can include the funny stuff and you can let him get his little shtick in, but then, like, when push comes to shove and he's in a feud with somebody, like, he snaps and he takes it seriously.
Marcus, I think this is a Sam Darnold situation where I like Sam Darnold. He's like one of my favorite players, and I loved him when the Jets drafted him, and I feel like, but him being in a rocky situation of a New York Jets franchise, like, has not served him well, and, like, Matt Hardy coming into a pandemic with a gimmick that kind of really does rely on the crowd giving reaction and things like that, and helping him further this, played into him not getting the best out of his environment. So
I think there's ways to go about it.
I think I think there certainly were ways to do it. I don't think AEW lived up to that, and committed to certain things, and, like, made the most of certain things that they could have done that maybe could have Matt weathered the storm more so in this, and made that gimmick much more to what made it engaging in TNA and somewhat WWE. But like, I think it kind of just got bungled. And at this point in time, like, bringing it back to Sam Darnold, I almost think like him going to a different team would help him be better. So Matt kind of going away from it now would be beneficial to him, because at this point in time, I think it's just right now broken Matt Hardy is kind of damaged at the moment. So it's like
a shame.
It is a shame. It is a shame.
And you know who could use him, and which could actually help both parties, I think, to a large degree, would be the Dark Order. He probably should have transitioned into a member of the Dark Order, or came in as a member of the Dark Order. And now, Dominic, what is the Dark Order? They're nothing. They're stupid. It's a group of clowns. Let me finish, because I do have a point to make.
Okay.
At the end. It's a group of clowns, and even if you brought Brody Lee back, who is like this very intense, menacing figure, it's what's he coming back to? It's all of a sudden it's turned to, like the Goof Troop over there, and then it's like, okay, now he's gonna come back and be the leader of the Goof Troop. Like he's in the foreground being serious, and they're in the background like hitting each other with, like, banana cream pies. So like that kind of stuff, it drives me absolutely crazy. Dark Order is damaged goods as far as I'm concerned, but there's one bright spot, and that's John Silver.
Okay, well, let's get to that here in a. Okay, no, go on, because I can tie this in a second. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, because I know you want to talk about Hangman Page, and we'll get there.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but no, I was gonna play more to Dark Order stuff, but you can go ahead.
But dude, John Silver, I like him a lot. I don't like his non-serious moments. But when he is serious and he's in the ring and he's grappling and he's like trying to really put it on somebody, he comes off with like some very real intensity. And he's the kind of guy that I would like to see in a singles role, almost like a Dean Malenko-ish role, like an Iceman, kind of like emotionless, just like absolute beast in there, just having his way with people. Dude, that buckshot lariat that transitioned into a Hurricane Rana,
that was amazing.
Unbelievable athleticism.
So good.
Yep. So the guy's great, but he's burying himself, and being a member of the Dark Order is burying him.
Nah, like, again, I kind of think it's something it's a week to week thing, like, and plays again to like AEW kind of like tipping their cap to viewers that watch Being the Elite and their outside media stuff, not Dynamite related. So like, I think, if you've watched Being the Elite and you've watched stuff like that, you might like be more invested in Dark Order. But I also feel like, this is something from an effect of you can really, to your point, John Silver is likable. And I also think that Evil Uno is doing a good job in his role. And like okay, well, let me keep going though. And I think all these guys kind of have cultivated personalities, and whether that's off on one of the streaming shows or on Dynamite, at least they have cultivated their own personalities that make them kind of stand out a little bit more, whether that's Alex Reynolds or Evil Uno or John Silver. Now, comedic, it's kind of like, they have that kind of Goof Troop vibe, but it gives them something. And people, you can't deny that people are more engaged in the Dark Order now than they were beforehand. So I think a lot more people are into them than what they were, because they have gotten to show personalities. And so whether you can transition that more into a serious type of thing is important. And, I think you can still, like, Matt Hardy's current persona right now that he just did this week as a what would Matt Hardy do? That's kind of cult leader-esque. So he could very easily fit into that role of the Dark Order. Brody Lee could come back, bring Matt Hardy into the fold, and then kind of like create the next layer of Dark Order. But yeah, I think there was also another point I wanted to make with this too. Yeah, Colt Cabana though is somebody that's getting lost in the shuffle that I've wanted a payoff with. Like, okay, what's Colt standing? He's there, but like we haven't gotten more about him either. Like from why he's in with the Dark Order, what his relationship with Brody Lee. And again, we have not seen or heard about Brody Lee in weeks. And so it's like, what's going on with him? Certainly some things to be worked on. I'm not sold. Like I'm not tapped out, or I don't think they're damaged goods, Dark Order. I think, starting off, obviously, when they were a faction, they were done to me. Like they were cooked. But Brody Lee and that time, like him winning the title and everything, reestablished him, I believe. And I don't think it's said and done, from a creative standpoint.
I disagree. I think that the Dark Order came in and, they had some pretty fascinating vignettes coming in where it's just like this very creepy cult like vibe, like, this guy trying to convince people to join. And it's almost like the TV was like looking at you when you weren't paying attention in the room, like very creepy stuff that they had going on. I was like, this is cool. This is interesting, but then they start adding, obviously like how I feel about Brody Lee. I think he's great. And again, like this could have been a very menacing group. Like the whole, I feel like there was a moment where like the TV talked to the guy when he was by himself in his hotel room.
That was John Silver.
Yeah. So like cool, interesting stuff like that going on. Like this could almost be like a Ministry of Darkness, like very dark, like terrifying kind of a group. And Brody Lee would be a great guy to helm that. But then you start adding these goof troop idiots like Evil Uno, who I dislike more every time he picks up a mic.
Why? So what did he do this week that was so unlikable from a like bad heat perspective?
It's not him or what. It's not what he did this week so much as his community theater delivery. Every time he's got a live mic in his hand,
I don't think it was that bad.
Comes off as incredibly phony, very hard to believe. And he just looks like some cosplay guy at a Comic-Con to me. He like doesn't have it. Never should have been part of the Dark Order. Probably shouldn't have been signed to AEW. Yeah, I said it.
Jeez, Mark.
Yeah, I don't like him. I feel like again wasted potential with the Dark Order.
I think you really go too hard a lot of the time. Like in this, like honestly, I think like Evil Uno was like his presence was so questionable, I think, at the beginning. And like him and Stu Grayson, like you're subtracting like their ability to work great as a tag team together and stuff like that, where they had that really great match and like they flowed so well together and everything like that. And like I think the changes from Evil Uno wearing a suit to what he wore beforehand, different things like that, and kind of being almost like the connective, that sympathetic, well, you're the bad cop, I'm the good cop. He's like the good cop of the Dark Order in a lot of ways, where he's like, hey, we don't want to, he's that guy that's like throws out that dangles that carrot and lures people in like to this cult.
No, that was the very creepy, almost albino-ish looking guy that was on the TV.
Well, Marcus, he's not a wrestler though, and like,
I don't care. He doesn't have to be.
Marcus, that's the fucking Verizon guy. Remember that fucking Verizon guy?
Yes.
You don't want that guy's not going to influence me to come over. I'm not going to join that cult.
I just thought that guy pulled off creepy very, very well. And honestly, I really believe that they had something at the start of this, and now it's just a big joke. And it comes off as a joke. And John Silver, while he's a great wrestler, I don't think he's doing himself any favors by coming off like this goofy maniac. And then, by the way, Hangman Page, I think Stan Hansen rule applies to everything that Hangman Page does.
Maybe that's a good way to do it. Is like if this person like fits a Stan Hansen rule, that's how we apply the Stan Hansen rule.
And that's him. And so, like, he should not be wishy-washy on his decisions.
No, I agree.
He's supposed to be John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, decisive. This is what I'm doing, and I damn the consequences. He should always know exactly what path he's on and why he's on it. And like he again just directionless. He's like, I don't know, maybe these guys.
No, I'm 100% with you on that because you're right. You're right. If you're watching a Western, the outlaw, the main outlaw and stuff like that, knows who he is, knows what he's about, and commits to it.
And would Clint Eastwood join some chubby guy in a mask and a shiny Connie McGregor suit? I don't think so.
He might do it to make it to his own advantage, ultimately, if he has a long-term game plan. But he would commit to it and be like, yeah, he would know what he's doing. So a Hangman comes off. I like the aspect that JR brought up. Hey, he didn't bring a drink to the ring, which I thought was a good starter. But ultimately, at the end, yeah, why is Hangman so indecisive at this point in time? Like, ultimately,
the fact that that's a thing, the fact that that's a thing that you have to bring up about him. Like, hey, look at that drunk guy, the guy we always see drunk. Check it out, he's not drinking.
Well, I thought there was going to be something more to that too later in the show or after the match or something, but we didn't get a follow up to that. Like, if they did something where it'd be like he cuts a promo at the end and like, yeah. I'm kind of like more to what you were saying too, where he's like committing to something. He's like, yeah, you know what? I was really bummed about Kenny and all that stuff. He's like, but now I just know my direction and like, drinking, I love it, but I did a little too much and now I'm not going to do it anymore. And I'm just going to kick some ass, if they did something more like that, but no, we got like this kind of thing where, yeah, he's like, oh, I don't know, I'm kind of influenced by you. Or just like, I could see myself in there. Should I do this? Or it's just
he comes off as a weak-willed.
Yeah. And yes. And you know what? In the whole match, his match with Silver, he came off really confident. And they went back and forth and had a great match. And Hangman ultimately beat him. So it's like, if they stuck with that, like, because not only, and this kind of almost like, plays to that dynamic where the dynamic between the Hangman in the Dark Order seemed put upon, where it was just like not, okay, would somebody really play into this? Like, oh, I don't know, should I join them? Like,
I just looked at my notes and so I was really, really sleepy while I was watching it. I was watching it late at night on Wednesday. Yeah, so like I don't remember everything I wrote, but I wrote something funny about it. I said, hang on. The Dark Order trying to get Paige to join reminds me of an AV group trying to get the cool senior to hang out with them.
I mean, it's a great point. It's a great point because I like I said, I like the Dark Order, and I don't think they're damaged goods. But yeah, right now they're pretty much a comedy group that's kind of likable, like to me. So it's like, and they're going after this guy who's like one of your top stars, or positioned to be one of your top stars, and he's like being influenced by them. Like when we've
Yep.
already saw him show so much vulnerability with Kenny and like drinking and all that stuff. So it's just like, dude, you're hurting Hangman here by doing this stuff. You like make him be a decisive ass kicker, not some guy that's wishy-washy and doesn't know who he is. You know?
Hey, hang on. I got to shut off my dehumidifier. It just kicked on.
Oh, okay, no problem. But yeah, man, like ultimately, I thought that opener was great. I thought it was a great, fast-paced, awesome opener. But like, yeah, the follow-up after the match and everything just was like, ugh, no, it's not there. You know, I think, you know, you have to commit to Hangman, and you have to, yeah, to your point of, you got to lessen the humor with Dark Order. I don't think they're damaged goods, but I think you need to kind of get them established further from, if you're getting, make a decision with them too. Don't be wishy-washy with the Dark Order either.
And I thought Hangman was like part of the elite. I thought he was tight with all these guys that are like the VPs of the company. Yeah, I'm starting to wonder who he pissed off, because he has just been systematically buried.
I don't know. It's just strange, man. It's really strange. Like he looks
like $1 million.
He looks like $1 million. He's got a personality that's $1 million, like that you can use, and it's just, I know it's head scratching, because like you position him, he's gonna be one of your top stars. Like he could easily be a world champion, but you got to make him to that level.
From the start, he should have been John Wayne,
Yes.
or Clint Eastwood. He should have been a badass from the very beginning. Always knows what path he's on. Doesn't need anybody but himself. And it is not working.
It's not. No, they have to really start turning the wheels here with this. It's because it's not sticking with me either. Okay. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. But like the ending segment of Lance Archer interfering. But let's talk about Butcher and Blade getting the W against Pac and Rey Fenix. What'd you think of it overall? And what do you think it sets up for everything there? Because I think, to your point, I don't think Archer is feuding with Eddie. It's going to be Pac feuding with Eddie. So I'm not thinking that that's where they're going to go with that. So,
I was wondering if they're like feeding Archer to Eddie to establish him.
I don't know. So I don't think that's going to be the case.
I'm not sure what the story is. But I was shocked, absolutely shocked, that the Butcher and the Blade went over. Not only because they never go over, but because Pac is returning to the company. So that was a pleasant surprise. A good match, you know. Every guy in the ring is incredible at what they do,
and unique in their own way too.
Yep. You know, like the Butcher is still green at times. You can certainly see that, but man, just brimming with potential.
I love how he just was flinging people around. I like that a lot. Like it kind of established more of a ring presence for him, I thought, like just doing that.
Yep, exactly. And like, you know, again, how about like, you know, if the Dark Order, if they'd push that in the right direction, how cool would it be to see those two as like the right hand men of Brody Lee, the Butcher and the Blade? You know, like just like an imposing, terrifying group of humans that are sort of like running this crazy cult. Like
where they're like kind of doing what we wanted from Bray Wyatt back in the day, where he would like kidnap people, and like what we wanted for a payoff was like brainwashing people, you know?
Yeah.
I think you know, that would have really played.
And they look like they would belong in a group like that, you know? So it's again just missed opportunities, but
that being said, I think they tie really well with Eddie Kingston though too. Like
well, no, they don't. Eddie Kingston comes with like this urban, you know, street smart kind of independent type, and then it's just like, and I'm buddies with this guy who looks like Jack the Ripper, and his friend who is apparently into S&M. So like that's a weird combo, but okay. You know, it's To me, it doesn't work. Eddie Kingston should be more like a lone wolf, or he should be aligned with guys like Santana and Ortiz. Again, the street smart, kind of tough New York guys.
Yeah, I think though with Butcher and Blade though, like you can buy into that though, the street. I can like them because I mean, again though, you kind of need to know the outside aspect of who they are, because like the Butcher's in a like a heavy rock band, like punk rock band kind of thing, and the Blade's he's been an established guy, so it's just like from Buffalo, everything like that, so that you can kind of play into that, but they haven't really played into that. So, I mean, to that point, I guess that it needs work. But, being three heels that have aligned with one another, that I don't think it's totally, that fathomable, So,
I don't think it's great, but I like all three of the guys, so something to be said there. But yeah, I mean, the match itself, it's good. All the guys they're tight, they're solid, and again, at times it just feels like this thrown together stuff it's just directionless. Lance Archer coming out at the end, it gives you more questions than answers, and not in a good way where it's just like a cliffhanger at the end of the show.
What's going on next? Yeah, I mean,
what's next?
For me, I liked it because, like I said again, I like Lance Archer, so it's like, ooh, okay, I'm intrigued to see where they're gonna go with him. Like, what are they gonna do? But it's like you need to set it up a little bit more properly to to make everybody like super duper invested into it. So,
I like Lance Archer too, but again, there's better ways to use him. How about him as a tag team with Brody Lee? With Jake the Snake on the outside.
I mean, but this is your go-to is like, hey, what if we pair this team up with Brody Lee, or this person with Brody Lee?
Better, all better choices than having Evil Uno in there, who looks like maybe he walks past Gold's Gym on the way to the Domino's that's in the same plaza.
Oh my God. Such a bad cop. Dear goodness, man.
Yeah.
All right, we'll close out the Dynamite discussion with this. Akira Shida defending her title against Dark Order's Anna Jay, and then Abaddon coming out at the end. Yeah, thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's largely just, again, this sort of a thrown together notion. Feels like
a week-to-week thing where we got Anna Jay teased from last week and the build throughout the week. That's it.
Yeah. It's just not the best. I like Abaddon, and I like all the participants out there. I do. I think they all bring something to the table, but give us a reason to care. Give us a reason to be invested. Have they given us any vignettes, anything on Abaddon up to this point, other than she wrestled on Dark and we see on Twitter that she's all elite?
And then she's super duper creepy and has a great look. That's it though. That's all we've got.
You know who she'd be great with, Dom, is the Dark Order.
With Brody Lee.
Get her with Brody Lee. But no, it just was not what it was supposed to be. By the way, Dom, we do have a couple other things to touch on.
Okay.
That should be our last bit.
Okay, no, that's fine. No, you know what though? I like Abaddon a lot too, but not only I think it hurt the aspect of her just being thrown out there out of nowhere. I did not like that aspect. I also did not like the fact that Shida showed fear from her. Again, this was another Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt situation, or the Fiend situation, where she's like, oh my God. And that kind of thing. I did not like that. It was, I mean, I know she's super creepy, and I think she's one of the creepiest looking personas in wrestling. I'm going to say ever. So, but I don't think for Shida, your champion, to be scared rather than maybe taken aback or weirded out or something like that instead, did not like that aspect of it. And, I don't know. It's just again, though, I just think the immediacy of her being out there out of nowhere, not a good setup. But I like Abaddon and I like Shida, but it's just that whole play of that, not a fan.
I would have rather seen backstage segments leading to this, where it's like maybe Sheeta's like in the locker room and she's doing like a stand up and like the lights flicker a little bit or something.
Yeah.
They just
Look
like
around.
stop and look around. Yeah, and like weird stuff just keeps happening, and then she comes out, and you're like, "That's what's been going. That's why all this creepy stuff has been
going
happening."
on. Yeah.
Abaddon is after her,
Yeah.
Easy stuff, Dominic. Easy stuff to come up. We're doing it right. We're booking the territory right now. It's coming off great. Let me tell you what didn't come off great. This is something I felt I needed to talk about. Well, first of all, the inner circle stuff.
We didn't talk about that.
It wasn't my favorite segment with them, but mostly what really got me was the end when what's his name, Scorpio Sky comes out by himself, and he's holding a chair, and everybody sells it like he has a chainsaw. Like they all just bail out of the ring. It's just one guy with a chair. I am certain one of you could disarm him.
But hey, if you're a cowardly heel, you're all going to be like, I don't want to get hit with the chair. So
I don't know. It didn't work for me. There's like 8 guys in the ring, and they're like, "Oh,
it was a lot. It was pretty noticeable."
Holy shit, a folding chair. So yeah, that to me that part didn't work. And we can kind of end it on this one because this was wrestle crap at its finest, Dominic.
Well, is this pertains to Inner Circle stuff? Because I do.
No, you want to talk about Inner Circle?
Yeah. So, I did like it that they didn't like lean more into the tension or potential tension between everybody. I kind of like that they continued them like, oh, hey, we're getting more of an alliance with all these guys. They're all on the same page kind of aspect and that kind of thing. And I think, I thought it was cool. Daniels and Jericho tying up, with one another. And I'm looking forward to next week too, with Kaz getting a singles match against Jericho too. So ultimately, I liked it. I just thought it maintained rather than like further built some stuff. I feel overall, But
yep. I like Kaz versus Jericho too. I think that's going to be a cool match to see. I know that you hate it when I talk about this, but I'm not crazy about Christopher Daniels at all. When he comes out and he's like dancing and he's wearing like his Sgt. Pepper shit.
He's not doing that though right now.
He did for this match. He came out with his microphone. He was like boogie into the ring, and I was like, that's everybody's dad at the barbecue. Like that's a rough scene.
To that point though, like he's on BT. He's supposed to get the 50 demographic. That's what they have him for.
That's the idea. Because
that was the joke they were playing too.
Oh, okay. Because man, that's hard to watch.
Nah, it's like at this point, like we haven't seen Daniels in a while, so I feel like he's likable because he's a legacy talent that like we're familiar with from TNA and stuff like that. But yeah, like at some point I would like to see the next transition for Daniels too. So. But
well, it wasn't as bad as what I want to talk about next, which is I almost shut off the TV, Dom.
Really?
And that's Orange Cassidy shutting off Miro's video game.
Okay, let me give a disclaimer here. So I'm watching that. I'm about to watch it, and I have slings, so maybe this was meant to be, but it like cut out on me, and so I had to like exit out and go back in. And by the time I tuned back in, they were getting beat up by the best friends. So go ahead, explain this whole segment to me in a lot of ways. So
yeah, I mean, consider yourself lucky. Orange Cassidy comes in and he like casually shuts off the video game that they're playing with, and Miro's response was, "Hey, my wife bought that." So it's like, wait a minute, your wife bought that for you with her WWE money? So like that was ridiculous. It was rough to watch. And then like a brawl breaks out and they're like outside and it's very much like backyard brawl or backlot brawl kind of stuff going on. And what's his name? Kip Sabian. He gets like, it was almost like he was powerbombed. He was powerbombed into a porta potty, which I don't know if I'm sure you've touched a porta potty wall before. It's like kind of like a very like pliable plastic.
Yes.
But like, again, he sold it like he got hit with a shotgun went off on him. And then Miro is like, that just happened to his buddy. The cameraman turns around and Miro takes the time to look into the camera and say, "Get out of my way." He like shouts it at the cameraman. Dominic, just such wrestle crap. You're very lucky that you missed all of it. It's I don't know what they are thinking when it comes to Miro.
There's Voices of Wrestling on Twitter. I think they had the best suggestion for Miro, and that's take him off TV for a couple months here and just hit the total restart button on him. I mean, that's the best I think you can do at this point with him, because it's like, dude, this video game bullshit just it's not working. It's not fit for him. And whether that's part of his personality outside of the ring, that's fine. But it's like, we want fucking vicious ass kicking. Don't fuck with Miro person. We don't want, well, you stole my game and my wife bought me that.
And my wife bought that.
Yeah.
Dominic, it was really bad.
And to your point last week, somebody also brought up, I don't remember who it was, but they were also sold out on Miro on commentary. They very much took your side. I can't remember but who it was, but I was like, wow, Marcus felt that way too. I was like, I didn't think it was that awful, but
he should never have a live mic. He should just be like a big, tough, imposing guy with somebody to talk for him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you who would be a great pair. It would be him being managed by Vicky Guerrero.
Oh, you wouldn't like him in the Dark Order?
Him with Brody Lee, Dom. Let me tell you.
You know what? Let's put him with Brody Lee. Yeah. What'd you think of that quick segment about with Vicky, Brandy, and Nyla Rose, and that kind of thing? What? Any thoughts?
Forgettable. Again, low stakes. I like Vicky. I think that she's a really good mouthpiece in pro wrestling.
Yeah.
She's got a great presence as well.
Mm-hmm.
She's the highlight of all these segments.
Yeah, right.
And it's not as though she's like stealing the shine off of the wrestlers. It's the wrestlers can't keep up with her.
Yeah, it's I thought her delivery and stuff was really good, and like her personality when she's not like the excuse me thing's way overdone and been played to so many times at WWE, but like I like that it's different here in AEW. Like it's like this is like Vicky, like who's kind of more plotting and more like vicious, and I think that really plays to it. But to your point, you need to make that. You need to have that like build out to Nyla Rose or whoever that Vicky's, feuding with, or whoever Nyla Rose is feuding with. Like play that out more. Like you want that everybody to go with that flow. So yeah, I think that's a good point. Oh, go ahead. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, but you could increase the stakes for Vicky and Miro if you were to pair those two.
Good point. That's what, Marcus, I really like that. I really like that pairing actually.
Yeah, Miro's got everything that you need except for the voice. Vicky's got the voice.
Vicky's a good one. I like it, man. I like it. Okay, I will say I liked the show. I thought it was good. I thought it was overall very good build to Winter Is Coming. Oh, you know what? Let's go quickly over the card itself for next week, because I think it's I looked at it and I was like really like, hey, this is going to be a good show next week. Is this? Well, I wonder if I can pull this up and you won't see. No, I don't want to screw with that up because it's going to take away the thing. But we have next week. We have obviously Mox and Kenny Omega, but we also have the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal and Frankie versus Jericho. And then there was also a match that I did not expect, but Britt Baker's fighting Leela Hirsch. Leela Hirsch. So what do you think about what they have next week for Winter Is Coming? And are you ultimately looking forward to it, or is there something like there's 5 matches, so pretty much we got the whole card with the exception of maybe like one more match showing up. So let me see if I can pull that up though, just to confirm everything here.
Well, I'm already tired of battle royals in AEW. And really, when it comes to battle royals, WWE figured it out.
Did they?
They did, because of the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble is the only real way for me to enjoy that format, because it's not like you don't know where to look during a battle royal. Royal Rumble, when they time it out and people come out individually, every 2 or 3 minutes, it's more palatable that way. So
Okay, to that point, yes, but WWE has not done battle royals good, or Royal Rumbles for that matter, very well in the past.
the idea, though, it's the idea.
The idea, sure. But I will say, like, the battle royal that they had, you never seen the all-in battle royal, not all out or the double or nothing battle royal, but the all-in battle royal before AEW was a thing. One of the best battle royals ever. Like, it was really, really well done. So that's how you do battle royals. Maybe, and like, I think this one that they did, the Dynamite Diamond Ring one from last year, was really good too, from what I remember.
Well, maybe they'll surprise me.
Well, let me run down their lineup that's in there. Who's in there? So we got Hangman Page, we got Alex Reynolds, we got John Silver, Sammy Guevara, Matt Hardy, Isaiah Cassidy, Mark Quinn, Matt Sydal, Scorpio Sky, Sean Spears, Orange Cassidy, Kip Sapien, Miro, Wardlow, and the defending champion, MJF. Who would you pick for a winner of that next week?
MJF.
Like, you'd have MJF win it again. I'm kind of with you on that. Like, have him just win it again, you know?
Yep. That's probably how I'd go about it. Or this could be a good opportunity for Wardlow to break away from MJF comes down to
Do you want that, though? Do you want that right now? I don't kind of want that at the moment.
Maybe. They've already got a big heater in the inner circle with Jake Hager, so why not kick the tires on Wardlow as a singles?
Could you see a benefit to Hangman winning it?
Depends on how they use Hangman.
Yeah.
I'm super out on Hangman right now.
I know you are, but I mean, like, the goal should be to reestablish him. So I mean,
until they do that, I can't justify giving him any kind of a honor out there.
I wouldn't be against Scorpio Sky winning it too.
Yeah, Scorpio's, again, a potential for a tremendous singles career if he can get away from that middle-aged drunk dad.
That we didn't talk about the quick little promo that Ricky Starks had either.
Oh man, he always nails it.
Right.
There's not much more to say about it.
I know, right? When you don't, like, it's almost like a thing where you don't mention something. It's so good, that's
what my football coach used to say is, if I don't talk to you, then you had a great practice.
You had a great practice, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And Ricky Starks always does a great job. But so the next week though, it's him and Powerhouse Hobbs going up against Darby and Cody. So I think that's ultimately this card's really good next week. So all about execution, brother. All about execution.
No doubt about it. Let's hope that they can execute. I'm not with you as far as the show this week. My rating.
Okay, yeah. You got to give your Meltzer rating.
Yeah, I told you earlier today I'm giving it right down the middle, just 5.0. But after talking about it a little bit, I'm going down to a 4.8. The show was not good. There was, like, even the moments that were really good, like Taz and Cody, they were tainted. I like Abaddon. I'm glad that they're going to start involving her on national TV. Tainted. The only one that wasn't was pretty much the stuff between Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. Or I'm sorry, Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. That's really the only stuff that went untainted.
Yeah. I was gonna say something for that. It's almost like how cool I thought the build would have been for CM Punk versus The Undertaker at like WrestleMania 29, but they just screwed it all up. Like, that's kind of what I'm thinking about at this moment. Well, from your point, like to certain regards, I don't think this is all screwed up. I think, obviously they could have done a lot of things, but to the point of it being a story told, it's not. I don't think it's necessarily a bad story told. I don't think it's an awesome story told. I think it's just some of that stuff, with Cody and Taz could have been better told, to your point.
Yeah, and that's the problem, Dom, is that this is a pretty consistent trend. You know, like many, not all of them, but many of the storylines that they do, it's like, man, that's a cool idea, and they screw it up. Like they make it
it's a
not
nice
as
setup. It's a nice setup.
not as good as it could have been. So I think Tony Khan's having some excellent ideas. I just don't think that they're being properly executed.
Yeah. Marcus, we have an announcement to make. New segment coming next week. Something I'm always excited about doing, whatever podcast we do. We are going to do. This is where I'm cueing the Monday Night Football music. We're going to do an AEW draft. And it's going to be set up. We're going to start it off next week. I don't know how we're going to determine who picks first. Marcus, I would say that we either would challenge one another to a wrestling video game, but there's not a good one to necessarily play online with one another that we can have. Or I would challenge you to an actual fight, but it would not be fair to have you lose to me in that regard, because we already know.
You know, I'm willing to take that risk. We can meet up somewhere and fight Dom. And
no, you know what, Marcus, I'm a busy man. You know, with the COVID taking place and the mask wearing and social distancing, it's probably not the proper time to do it. Plus, you know, you're a new father, and to humiliate a man in front of his newborn daughter is just, I think it's just disrespectful to do. So I don't want to do that.
Well, I appreciate you looking out for me like that, Tom.
You're welcome.
I think a simple coin flip is going to do it.
Okay, so is that how we did it with the 90s wrestler draft?
Probably. I don't know, Dominic. Now, I think it's important to note that we're going to leave the winner up to our listeners.
Yes.
You're going to put up a poll.
So, and how I made a note too of how we're going to kind of assess it in a lot of ways. So it's like ultimately what we want to, who ultimately who created the best roster out of like who we chose. So not only that,
you can explain kind of the rules. I think next week, I think it would be good to explain it and then do the draft.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we can do that again, but I'm just setting it up too. And then like maybe what we'll do for the final week after the drafts are all said and done and laid out is we'll pitch our game plan, like what our booking execution will be for our roster and where we ultimately want certain things to go. And I think that'll be a good, like, kind of like almost like we're in a court case and we're making our final case. So something to that extent. So it'll be very intriguing. We'll pick team captains too. I think that'll be kind of a neat aspect that we did last time. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a fun thing to do for a few weeks. And, you know, people love the drafts, and I think we can create some pretty cool stuff. Marcus, you're like, you know, a bad cop Marcus versus a good cop Dom. I think we'll come up with some unique rosters going here.
When it comes to team captains, are these just non-wrestling personalities that are there?
Yeah, so my kind of idea, I guess I wanted to talk more about this next week, but my kind of idea for it would be our own creative element that we would make like almost like a Jack Tunney / ultimately like what we want to see from, like what we don't want to see as from Cody Rhodes, Kenny, or the Young Bucks is like a guy that shows up and an authority figure, but he's not a primary figure on television, but he's there. So
well, how do we determine who chooses their authority figure first?
Maybe another coin flip. I don't know.
Well, let's do that right now, this week.
You want to do it now, right? Do you want to do the pick this week too? Let's just do both. Let's do both.
No, absolutely not. We're just going to pick our team captains.
You want to pick team captains right here, right now?
Non-wrestling personalities in AEW.
But wrestling figures. I'm not going to pick like Bob Saget or something.
Well, no, people in AEW who are non-wrestlers.
Oh, I was even thinking just a wrestling persona. Like it doesn't have to be AEW.
Oh, well, you're jumping the shark now, Dom.
Am I? Okay. Well, okay, let's just commit anybody that's been on AEW television.
Okay, 1 sec.
All right, get the coin, man. Get the coin. I'll just bet Dusty here. I do have to plug some stuff, so maybe I'll do that in the meantime. So, WrestleZone, we've had a great week. We've had interviews. Let's see. It's been Thanksgiving, so, I mean, it's been a little, like, different this week. So let's see here. We've had tonight, as it's going on, SmackDown has just finished, and we have a new kind of format for the SmackDown show. It's called the WrestleZone Wrap-Up, and Colin Tessier, one of our newer writers, is hosting the show, and so he does a very good job. Is a new prominent figure on WrestleZone, does a good, steady job. Not only writing, but hosting and stuff like that. So tune into that. SmackDown, for what WWE is like kind of one of the better shows. So and obviously with the Roman Reigns storyline, that's been great. Does a very it's a intriguing show to tune in. We also interviewed Pittsburgh's very own Sam Adonis, who's been all over the world and done Mexico, Japan. I'm sorry. And then brother Corey Graves, talked to him. And then we've started a new show based around Impact, where we give an Impact wrap up about Impact each and every week. I do the coverage for that. Sometimes I can be on the show, sometimes I can't. And then let's see. Well, just a lot of the good coverage that Kevin Kellum always does, recapping everything and giving the news of the day, talking with Robert D. Felice most of the time. So tune into that. I just interviewed Diamond Dallas Page. It just got published today. We talk about DDPY, his new level that he adds called DDPY Jacked, where these blood flow armbands you put around, and it helps build muscle mass and all that kind of stuff. So it's a very, very new element that I'm going to definitely invest some stuff into, because it's something that I've wanted to do, is kind of build more mass and kind of things like that. So he talks about that. And we talk about Darby Allin. We talk about what the benefits of preserving your body today as a modern wrestler, and how important that is, and what some talents can do and be mindful of throughout that. And then we talk about some historical stuff, Dusty Rhodes, Jake being on AEW television again, and Starrcade. We discuss all that cool stuff. DDP is one of my favorite interviews, and I love his positive personality. It's just super. I dig it so much, because it's I'm an optimistic guy, and DDP is always optimistic, so it's good stuff. So tune into that. Marcus, before we flip the coin, how do they follow you on the Twitter?
At Marcus P. D'Angelo.
All right. Anything else you want to plug?
No, that's about it, Dominic. I think we're ready to flip this coin, pick our captains, and be on our way.
On our merry, merry way. Yes, You can follow me at Dominic D'Angelo. You can follow WrestleZone on Twitter at WrestleZone.com. Yes. All right, Marcus.
All right, heads or tails, Dom?
I'll go heads.
It is a tail.
Whoa! All right.
So this is not an easy choice for me. I'm between three, and it's three guys that I really admire that are non-wrestling people in AEW.
Now, should I make this addendum that it shouldn't be a prominent figure that's a manager or something like that, or could it be?
No, I think it's anybody in AEW who's
okay. That'll just take that person off the table as a manager. Okay, that's fair.
Then this is rough, but I'm gonna go with Tony Schiavone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just like Tony too much to not go for it.
Wow. Okay.
And who's yours, Dom?
Wow, I'm really surprised, because I thought this was going to be a shoo-in for you. I'm going to scoop him up. I'm going Eric Bischoff.
Eric was there, man. I was thinking about Eric. I was also really thinking about DDP.
I know. I was thinking DDP too.
Yep. So it's not an easy choice, but I love Tony Schiavone. I love WCW, and he represents WCW to me. So Schiavone for me, Bischoff for you. We're going a couple ECW guys.
Yeah, can't beat that, man. Can't beat that.
Well, Dom, that's a good way to sign off for this week. So thanks for listening, guys, and we'll catch you next time.
We'll see you next week, fellas.
Hey, wait, we're doing the wrap up, are we not? Did you mention that?
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Okay. Hey, good catch. Yeah, next week we are doing the wrap up.
Get my shit in, Dom.
Huh?
Gotta get my shit in.
Gotta get your shit in. We are doing so next week after Winter Is Coming. Marcus and I will be live with Kevin Kellum on the WrestleZone wrap-up for Wednesday night. So we will be there for the segment discussing AEW Dynamite before they talk NXT. So a little bit of teaser for the Dynamite Dudes coming up later in that week. So, Marcus, I hope you kind of change your attitude and be a little bit more fucking positive about it.
Even if I had something positive to say, Dominic, I'm keeping it to myself. It's not part of my character.
You're just digging your heels in. All right, guys. So, tune in next Wednesday night on WrestleZone Wrap-Up. But, hey, by that time, you should have tuned into all the WrestleZone Wrap-Ups. So, there you go. But you'll just get us that night. That's how it works. Okay?
We'll see you guys Wednesday.
See you Wednesday.